The night descended swiftly on the desolate stretch of Highway 47 in rural Wisconsin, where the wind howled through the endless dark fields, swallowing the faint glow of distant streetlights. Lucas Hale gripped the steering wheel of his battered old sedan, his knuckles white from exhaustion. At 32, he was no stranger to long nights, working as a mechanic by day and picking up odd jobs in the evenings to make ends meet. The fuel gauge hovered dangerously close to empty, a nagging reminder that he should have filled up earlier. In the back seat, his 6-year-old son Noah slumbered fitfully, his small chest rising and falling with soft breaths, oblivious to the chill seeping through the cracked windows. Lucas rubbed his eyes, glancing at the dashboard clock, 11:52 p.m. He just wanted to get home to their modest trailer on the outskirts of town, tuck Noah into bed and collapse. But then something ahead made his heart seize. A sleek black luxury car sat crookedly across the lane, its hazard lights flickering weakly as if on the verge of dying. The driver's door was ajar, and a woman leaned against the side, her figure trembling in the biting cold. The road was empty, no houses, no passing traffic, just the vast, unforgiving darkness. He slowed, the car instincts warring inside him. The news was full of stories about traps on lonely highways, robberies worse. But as he drew closer, he saw her face, pale eyes, wide with panic, lips quivering. She didn't look like a threat. She looked like someone on the edge of breaking. Lucas rolled down his window, the frigid air rushing in like a slap. "Ma'am, you okay?" "What happened?" The woman turned, her eyes red-rimmed, her voice barely audible over the wind. I ran out of gas. My phone has no signal. I don't know what to do." She hugged herself tighter, her coat inadequate against the dropping temperature. Lucas swallowed hard, scanning the shadows around them, no one else in sight. He debated driving on. Noah was in the car after all, but something, in her desperation, tugged at him. Just as he opened his mouth to offer help, headlights pierced the night from behind. A massive semi-truck barreled down the road, its horn blaring too late. The woman screamed as the truck swerved, clipping the edge of her car and sending sparks flying. She stumbled, slipping toward the oncoming danger. Without thinking, Lucas flung open his door and lunged out, grabbing her arm and yanking her to the safety of the shoulder. They tumbled to the gravel, hearts pounding as the truck roared past, vanishing into the darkness. Both gasped for breath, the acrid smell of burnt rubber hanging in the air. "You all right?" Lucas asked, helping her up. She nodded shakily, clutching her neck where a necklace had slipped free from her collar. The pendant caught the faint beam from his headlights, glinting gold. Lucas froze. He knew that pendant, a delicate locket with an engraved rose. He'd seen it before on what should have been the happiest day of his life. 5 years ago, at their wedding altar, before she vanished without a word, leaving him humiliated in front of family and friends. His voice came out hoarse, disbelieving. "Emma." She stiffened, her eyes locking onto his. Recognition dawned, horror mixing with tears. Her lips parted in a whisper that shattered the silence. "Lucas!" Before either could speak again, a faint muffled cry echoed from inside her car like the whimper of a child in distress. The cry from inside Emma's car pierced the stunned silence between them, a small, pitiful sound that cut through the wind like a knife. Lucas's mind reeled, his gaze fixed on the woman he'd once loved, the one who'd shattered him. Emma Hale? No, she wasn't Hale anymore. She'd never taken his name. 5 years of buried rage and confusion surged up, but the whimper pulled him back. "What's that?" he demanded, his voice rough. Emma's face crumpled, fresh tears mixing with the dirt from their tumble. She hurried to the back door of her car, opening it carefully. "Shh, baby. It's okay," she murmured. Curled up in a thin blanket on the back seat was a little girl no more than 4 or 5, her cheeks flushed with fever, hair matted and damp. The child stirred, her eyes fluttering open, hazy with discomfort. Lucas stared, his breath catching. The girl's features, those wide eyes, the slight curve of her nose mirrored his own, in a way that sent a chill down his spine unrelated to the cold. "Who is she?" he asked, though a part of him already dreaded the answer. Emma scooped the girl into her arms, holding her close. "This is Lily, my daughter." She hesitated, her voice breaking. "Our daughter, Lucas. Please, don't let anyone see us here. We have to go." His world tilted. What the hell are you talking about? And who are you running from?" The questions tumbled out, sharp and accusing. But the vulnerability in her eyes, the raw fear, made him pause. The highway stretched empty around them, the wind carrying distant echoes of trucks on far-off roads. No time for this now, he thought. Not here. Grimly, he popped the trunk of his sedan and grabbed the emergency gas can he always kept for late-night shifts. It wasn't much, but enough to get her car moving. As he poured the fuel into her tank, Emma rocked Lily gently, whispering soothing words. The engine sputtered to life, and Lucas climbed back into his own car, gesturing for her to follow. There's a gas station a few miles up. We'll stop there. You're not staying out here alone. Emma nodded, gratefully sliding into her driver's seat with Lily buckled in the back. They drove in tense silence, Lucas's mind a whirlwind. Noah stirred in the back of his car, mumbling sleepily, but thankfully stayed asleep. Minutes later, as they approached the faint lights of a run-down station, Lily's voice floated from Emma's car through the open window at a stop. "Mommy, where's Daddy?" Lucas's grip tightened on the wheel. He pulled over sharply, killing the engine. Emma did the same, her face pale in the glow of the station's neon sign. "Emma," he said, stepping out and facing her. "Talk. Now." She glanced around nervously as if expecting shadows to move. "I was running from everything. From you at first. That wedding day, I panicked. I found out I was pregnant the week before. I thought you'd think I was trapping you. Your family was so perfect, so put together. I was just the girl from the wrong side of town. I was scared you'd resent me, resent us." Lucas laughed bitterly, the sound harsh in the quiet night. "Scared you left me at the altar, Emma, in front of everyone. I spent years thinking I wasn't good enough, that you found someone better. And now this. You had my child and never told me." Tears streamed down her face. "I tried to make it on my own. Waitressing, cleaning rooms, whatever I could. I wanted Lily to have a good life without dragging you down. I didn't want to be a burden." "A burden?" Lucas's voice rose, echoing off the empty pumps. "You think hiding my daughter from me wasn't a burden? Where have you been all this time?" Before she could answer, Noah woke, fully rubbing his eyes and peering out the window. "Dad! Who's that?" He unbuckled and climbed out, staring curiously at Emma and the girl in her arms. Emma's eyes widened at the sight of the boy. "Oh, God! Noah! That's your son," Lucas nodded curtly. "His mother left when he was a baby." "Sound familiar?" Noah tilted his head, looking at Lily, who was now awake and shivering. "Her eyes look like mine," he said, innocently pointing. The words hung in the air, a simple observation that struck like lightning. Emma covered her mouth, stifling a sob. The children gazed at each other, unaware of the storm brewing. Headlights suddenly swept across the lot as a black SUV pulled in aggressively, screeching to a halt beside them. The door flew open, and a woman in her 30s stepped out, elegant with sharp features and an air of entitlement. Her eyes locked on Emma, narrowing with venom. "Finally found you, you little thief." Lucas's blood ran cold. He knew that voice, that face. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" Sarah, his ex-wife. Noah's mother smirked coldly. Oh, Lucas. Still playing the hero. Emma didn't run because she was scared of poverty. She ran because she's been hiding a secret that could destroy both our families. The flickering fluorescent lights of the gas station's convenience store cast harsh shadows across the grimy tile floor, a stark contrast to the inky blackness outside. Lucas ushered Emma and Lily inside the bell above the door, jingling weakly. Sarah followed her heels, clicking with calculated precision, her expression a mask of smug satisfaction. The clerk behind the counter barely looked up from his phone, oblivious to the tension thickening the air like fog. Noah, still rubbing sleep from his eyes, glanced at Lily, who was shivering in Emma's arms despite the blanket wrapped around her. Without a word, he tugged off his small scarf, a faded blue one, knitted by his grandmother, and draped it over her shoulders. "You cold?" he asked simply. His voice soft but steady. Lily blinked up at him. Her feverish cheeks flushed. She clutched the scarf tighter, managing a weak nod. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice hoarse. Emma's breath caught her eyes, filling with tears at the unprompted kindness. She sank onto a plastic chair near the coffee machine, holding Lily close, while Lucas paced near the window, his mind a storm of betrayal and confusion. Sarah leaned against a display of candy bars, arms crossed, watching with narrowed eyes. The children, unaware of the adults' turmoil, began to talk in hushed tones. Noah sat on the floor cross-legged, tilting his head curiously. "Do you have a dad?" he asked Lily, as if it were the most natural question in the world. Lily shook her head slowly, her lower lip trembling. "Mom says he's far away, but she cries sometimes. And then she gets quiet." Noah nodded solemnly, as if he understood perfectly. "I have a dad, but no mom. She left when I was little. I think maybe she got lost, but Dad says she had reasons." He paused, fiddling with the edge of his jacket. "Your mom cries. Mine's not around to cry." Lily's eyes met his wide and earnest. "Yeah, but we're kind of the same, right? We both miss something. But it's not our fault." The words hung in the air, simple and profound, slicing through the adults like a blade. Emma pressed a hand to her mouth, stifling a sob, her shoulders shaking. Lucas stopped pacing, his fists clenched at his sides, the innocence of the moment clashing with the rage boiling inside him. Sarah snorted softly, but even she averted her gaze. Suddenly, Lily's face paled further, and she let out a small whimper, slumping against Emma. "Mommy, I feel hot," she murmured, her eyes glazing over. Emma's panic rose instantly. "Lily, what's wrong?" She touched her daughter's forehead, burning. The girl went limp, her breathing shallow and ragged. Lucas moved without hesitation, scooping Lily from Emma's arms. "We need a hospital now." He glared at Sarah, who smirked dismissively. "She's just acting to get sympathy," she sneered. "Shut up!" Lucas snapped, his voice low and dangerous. "This is a kid!" He bundled Lily into his car, Emma sliding in beside her, while Noah climbed into the front, wide-eyed but silent. Sarah hesitated, then followed in her SUV, her face twisted in reluctance. The drive to the small county hospital was a blur of winding roads and flashing lights from passing cars. At the emergency room, nurses whisked Lily away for checks, leaving the group in the sterile waiting area. Noah tugged at Lucas's sleeve. "Dad, don't let her die like Mom disappeared." He whispered, his voice trembling for the first time. Lucas knelt, pulling his son into a tight hug, his own eyes stinging. "I won't, buddy. I promise." Inside the exam room, Lily stirred briefly, her small hand reaching out. She grasped Lucas's shirt weakly, mumbling, "Daddy." The word hit him like a freight train. He stood frozen as the doctor administered fluids. Back in the hall, Noah wandered over to the window, peering at the stars. He turned to Lucas suddenly, his face serious beyond his years. "If Mom came back, would you make her leave? Am I not good enough? Is that why she went away?" Lucas's throat tightened the question, unraveling him. He dropped to one knee, cupping Noah's face. "No, son. You're the best thing in my world. It's not your fault, never was." Lily's voice echoed faintly from the room. "Brother Noah." Noah's head snapped up. "Why'd she call me that?" Emma froze, her hands trembling. Lily continued weakly. "Mom says, wait for your brother. His name's Noah." The revelation exploded like a bomb. Lucas whipped around to Emma, his face ashen. "What?" Sarah paled, stepping back. The pieces slammed together, Noah and Lily siblings. Emma had fled pregnant, hiding their daughter out of fear, while Sarah had abandoned Noah as a baby. The hallway fell deathly silent, the weight of the truth crushing them all. The sterile hallway of the county hospital felt like a pressure cooker, the fluorescent bulbs humming overhead as tensions boiled over. Lucas stood frozen, his back against the cold wall, staring at Emma with a mix of fury and disbelief. Sarah hovered nearby, her lips curled in a triumphant sneer, while Noah and Lily sat on a bench, their small hands intertwined, oblivious to the full weight of the revelation that had just shattered the adults. The air was thick with unspoken accusations, the distant beeps of medical equipment punctuating the silence like a ticking bomb. Emma's face was ashen, her hands clasped tightly in her lap as if holding herself together. "Lucas, she started, but he cut her off, his voice low and edged with years of pent-up pain. "You ran. You hid her from me. Our daughter. And now this Noah's sister." His words echoed slightly in the empty corridor, drawing a curious glance from a passing nurse. Sarah stepped forward, her voice dripping with venom. See, she's a liar. She had your kid and kept it secret. Now she's back to steal Noah too. Don't let her manipulate you again. Emma flinched, tears spilling over. I never wanted to steal anyone. I was scared, Lucas. I thought you'd hate me for trapping you. Her voice cracked, but Lucas's expression hardened. Scared everyone scared Emma, but not everyone runs out on their life. You left me at that altar like I was nothing. 5 years of wondering what I did wrong raising Noah alone, thinking I wasn't worth staying for. He ran a hand through his hair, his chest heaving. Noah looked up, his eyes wide with confusion, tugging at Lily's sleeve as if to shield her from the storm. The door at the end of the hall swung open with a creak, and hurried footsteps approached. Lucas turned his breath, catching at the sight of an older man with silver hair and a worn coat, his face lined with worry. Lucas, the man said, his voice rough from haste. Dad. Lucas blinked surprise, cutting through his anger. Andrew Hale, his father, stood there out of breath, his eyes scanning the group before landing on Emma. He didn't shout or accuse. Instead, his expression softened with a quiet recognition. You're alive. That's good, he said simply, his gaze steady on her. Emma's eyes widened. Mr. Hale, you remember me? Andrew nodded, his voice warm despite the tension. I remember people who almost became family. He turned to Lucas, placing a steady hand on his son's shoulder. Sarah scoffed, crossing her arms. This isn't some reunion. She's a fraud. She lied to him, to all of you. Andrew glanced at her calmly, then back to Lucas. She's right. You've been hurt. His tone was even without judgment. Lucas's shoulders sagged slightly under the weight of his father's understanding. Outside, the wind rattled the windows, but inside, the storm was personal. Andrew pulled Lucas aside to a quiet corner, his voice low. What are you going to do, son? Walk away to feel right. And carry that weight forever? Lucas's eyes reddened. You don't get it, Dad. She destroyed me. Left me standing there like a fool. I do get it, Andrew replied, his grip firm. Because I lost your mother. Wanted to shut out the world, but I had you. I couldn't fall. He nodded toward Noah. Your boy needs the same from you. Emma approached hesitantly, but Andrew waved her over gently. Speak your truth, girl. Not from fear, from honesty. Emma swallowed, her voice trembling. I ran because I was pregnant. I thought Lucas would see me as a trap. Your family was so stable. I felt like an outsider. I never felt chosen before, so when things got real, I didn't believe I deserved it. Andrew nodded slowly. Fear doesn't make you bad. It just makes you miss out on life. He knelt before Noah and Lily, who watched wide-eyed. Without delving into the mess, he spoke simply. Grown-ups can be foolish. They love but get scared. They mess up and don't know how to fix it. Noah tilted his head. Is Lily really my sister, Grandpa? Andrew smiled faintly, his eyes misty. If you want her to be, yes. Family isn't just papers. It's holding on when you're scared. Noah turned to Lily. Then you're my sister. I don't know how to be a brother yet, but I'll learn. The moment eased the air, a fragile bridge forming. Sarah tried to slip away, but Andrew blocked her path. You can't leave without facing the boy. Noah looked up at her, his voice steady. Are you my mom? Sarah stiffened. I wasn't ready. Noah paused, then asked softly, Why didn't you ever call me your son? She stammered, but Andrew interjected calmly. You don't fear losing him, you fear losing control. Lucas turned sharply, seeing Sarah's facade crack for the first time. The doctor emerged, then clipboard in hand. Lily's stable, but we need a guardian signature. If not, we'll call social services. Lucas handed the form to Emma. Sign it, but on one condition, no more disappearing. Emma nodded, tears falling as she wrote her name. The quiet hum of the hospital room enveloped Lucas as he stood beside Lily's bed, the IV drip beeping steadily in the background. The little girl looked so small under the thin blanket, her hand limp but warm in his. She stirred slightly, her eyelids fluttering open just enough to focus on him. Daddy, don't go, she murmured, her voice fragile, laced with the remnants of fever. Lucas's chest tightened, a knot of emotions twisting inside him. He wasn't ready to claim the title, not after the betrayal, the years of absence, but the plea in her eyes pierced through his defenses. He squeezed her hand gently, his voice rough, but steady. "I'm not going anywhere, kiddo. I don't know if I have the right to be called that yet. But I promise I'll stick around for you." Lily's lips curved into a faint smile, her body relaxing as she drifted back to sleep. Outside the room, Emma leaned against the wall, her arms wrapped around herself, tears tracing silent paths down her cheeks. She didn't need Lucas's forgiveness right then. She just needed him not to turn away from their daughter. And in that moment, the story shifted from one of shattered pasts to the tentative beginnings of staying. Lucas stepped out into the hallway, the door clicking softly behind him. Emma straightened her eyes, meeting his with a mix of hope and fear. The air between them was heavy, charged with unspoken words. Sarah lingered nearby, her earlier smugness fading into unease, while Andrew watched quietly from a chair, his presence a steady anchor. Lucas faced Emma, his expression raw. "I've hated you for 5 years," he said, his voice low, "because I needed a reason to keep going without falling apart." Emma nodded, biting her lip until it bled slightly. "I know. I deserve it." But Lucas shook his head, his eyes glistening. "Tonight, when Noah asked if he wasn't good enough for his mom to stay, I realized hating you doesn't make me stronger. It just poisons him." He paused, drawing a shaky breath. "I'm sorry for letting my pain turn into this shadow over his life, for teaching him that people can vanish without explanation." Emma's eyes widened. "You're apologizing after what I did?" "Not for you leaving," Lucas clarified, his tone firm but not cruel. "For holding on to the bitterness so long that I forgot how to heal for his sake." Emma sank to her knees, not in dramatics, but in genuine surrender. "I don't ask you to take me back," she whispered. "I just want to be a real mother to her. I'll do anything, face whatever anger you have, just don't let her grow up without answers." The nurse approached, then holding out the discharge papers. "We need the guardian's signature. If there's no one—" Lucas took the form and handed it to Emma. "Sign it." She looked up, trembling. "But with one rule, you don't disappear again, ever." Emma nodded fervently, her tears smudging the ink as she wrote. It was a small act, but it sealed a fragile pact, not of instant reconciliation, but of accountability. Sarah, sensing the shift, edged toward the exit, her face pale, but Andrew rose, blocking her path with quiet authority. "You owe the boy a look in the eye before you go." Noah glanced up from the bench where he sat with Lily now awake and sipping water. His voice was calm, almost matter-of-fact. "Are you my mom?" Sarah faltered, her composure cracking. "I wasn't ready for it all." Noah studied her for a moment, then asked softly, "Why didn't you ever call me your son?" She stammered, "Things were complicated." Andrew's voice cut in steady and unflinching. "Kids don't need you ready. They need you real." Sarah's eyes filled with regret for the first time. "Noah, I'm sorry." But Noah just shrugged his young face, resolute. "I don't need you to stay. Just don't hurt Dad anymore." The words landed like a quiet verdict, not vengeful, but a boundary drawn with the purity of a child's heart. Sarah nodded mutely, turning away and vanishing down the hall, her heels echoing into silence. Days later, the small house on the edge of town felt fuller, warmer, despite its modest size. Noah hung an extra stocking on the wall for the holidays. "Now we need 2 for me and Lily," he declared, his grin infectious. Lily beamed, clutching his hand. "You're really my brother." "Yeah," Noah replied. "I don't know everything about being one yet, but I'll figure it out." Emma moved quietly in the kitchen, washing dishes with deliberate care, not playing the heroine, but proving her commitment through the mundane. Lucas watched her from the doorway, then spoke clearly. "We're not pretending nothing happened. If you stay, you accept that trust doesn't rebuild overnight." Emma met his gaze. "I know. I'll start small." "Good," Lucas said. "Start by not running." That night, as the kids slept in the shared room, their breaths sinking in peaceful rhythm, Lucas sat on the porch staring at the stars. Emma joined him, keeping a respectful distance. That day, if I told you the truth, do you think you'd have left me? He asked quietly. Emma shook her head. I didn't know. I'd never been chosen when things got hard. Lucas turned to her, his eyes softening slightly. I won't promise quick forgiveness, but I promise I won't pass my pain to them. Emma's voice was tentative. Tomorrow. Can I take them for ice cream? Lucas considered, then nodded. Tomorrow. But be home before dark. Andrew stood in the doorway watching them. His voice carried softly on the night air. Family isn't a place without mistakes. It's where you come back and stay to fix them.